This isn't real enough for you, Billy. I'm not real enough for you. It wasn't real enough for Georgie.
Welcome to the Extreme Channel. My name is Mr. X, and today we're going to take a look at this custom life-size Pennywise bust from the It remake films. Pennywise, very, very popular character, made popular by a book called It by Stephen King. Hopefully you're aware of that. If not, and you're just watching this, whoa, you fell off the deep end. You just got into that YouTube binge like at 2 in the morning. And next thing you're going to know is you're going to be watching ducks put on shoes. So as I said, this particular one is from the remakes. They remade the movies in the 21st century. Originally, the movies back in the 20th century were by Tim Curry. He played Pennywise. Yes, that Tim Curry from Home Alone, from Legend. Kind of crazy, kind of a master of all trades. But new actor came in, played Pennywise, and it was a little bit different take on Pennywise with a lot of the same basic aspects. And people kind of fell in love with this Pennywise. Not necessarily the films, both It Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, but Pennywise himself. And the reason why I say that is there are so many different collecting options when it comes to Pennywise nowadays. So if you want to get a Pennywise statue, here's some options you can do. Right here, actually, this is by Tweeterhead. It's a 1/5 scale Pennywise. This is on order for the Extreme Collection. I also have on order 3 half-scale bust heads from Prime 1 Studios right here. And the reason Prime 1 Studios actually created these is they go with this giant half-scale, so it's half the size of what he'd be in real life, Pennywise maquette. I don't think they call it a maquette. Then also competing with that, you can get a 1/3 scale Pennywise maquette from Elite Creature Collectibles. So another option for collectors, and we're not done. Elite Creature Collectibles also has a Pennywise life-size bust. And I believe this one actually ships very, very soon. And then there's some other custom companies. For example, this one right here recently came out with a Pennywise bust. I don't know if anyone has it in hands yet. I think I've seen a picture on Facebook, but it was one with the bloodied mouth. However, I purchased this a few years ago after the initial film. It's a custom piece by a company I actually have another bust from. I have a Carnage bust at my office. And it's interesting. That's all we're going to say. So today we're going to review this piece, talk about the pros, the cons. I can kind of compare it to some of the other ones we saw, even though I haven't seen those in real life. Talk about why I bought it and maybe if this might be an option for you. So let's dive into the review. We're going to use the extreme scale right here. Talk about different aspects of the statue. And if it's very good, it's an X. If it's very bad, it is trash. Now, as I said, this is a custom piece, so it wasn't signed off on by whoever owns the licensing to Pennywise or It. And they made 30 of these. I don't know if they have any left, but like I said, I purchased it quite a while ago, and one of the reasons I went with this is it was so much cheaper. All in, shipped from the other side of the world, it was about $1,000. Compared to a lot of the other ones I showed you, almost all of them, other than that small Tweeterhead one, those are running $2,000 to $3,000 with shipping, if not more. So kind of crazy. On a side note, I am getting all those heads, but just the heads. But the heads alone cost me $1,500. So that's why I decided to go with him. He's not silicone like a lot of them. His hair is sculpted hair, which we're going to look at in the paint and sculpt. So there are some negatives, but it's that age-old adage, you get what you pay for. And I have him in my theater room. You've probably seen that in the room tour. I either recently launched another review on a Reaper bust, or it's going to launch shortly after this. But I really like this. As I took some of the pictures today, I didn't like what was some of the pictures, but sitting here staring at it, I really like it. He's kind of freaking me out too. But let's dive in with the first category, and that's concept. We're going to talk about the concept of Pennywise. And when you have Pennywise, you have a lot of different options. For example, you could have went off the old Tim Curry version. You could go with kind of a evil, smirking Pennywise like this guy right here, or you could go one where he has his demon teeth or he has blood all over. So a whole bunch of different options. They decided to stay classic here. So they have a black sub base here, and they have the name of the statue, and this is actually removable, which is kind of nice. They have the name of the film, I guess. And Pennywise's character, they called it It. There's some mixed media in here, which I'm not a huge fan of mixed media. I think it works okay on this statue, and we're going to talk about it later. And as you move up, just very evil, very glaring. I think they captured the essence of Pennywise, and I don't think they captured the movie likeness in this piece. Especially, I recently watched It Chapter 2 a couple months ago. I think it's a little bit of a miss. So if you're looking for a piece that has the likeness to the movie, this is probably not for you. But it is unmistakable that this actually is Pennywise. So kind of go from there. So I think they went very safe, which is very smart. You know, they only made 30 of these. And so I think for concept, I think it's very nice. It's not 100% to the movie. It is clearly Pennywise. It is a safe pose, but it's an evil pose. I actually have him next to my Heath Ledger Joker bust from Queen Studios that I've reviewed. Go check out that review right here. Design-wise, when we talk about design, it's, as you guys know, it's displayability. Did everything go together? Does it make sense? There's not a lot going on here. It's all one piece other than the removable It sign. It's nice that the It sign is removable in the front. They went with mixed media, and it's cheap mixed media, which at first you're thinking, well, that's stupid. It makes it look worse. But I think that's what Pennywise wore. I mean, he had an outfit, you know, indicative of the 1930s. It's old, it's faded, it's not high quality. So I like that the parts that are mixed media are like that. And I don't know if that was intentional or if it was just an accidental design that happens to work with the character. I think another thing on the design of this piece that is a big negative is the hair is sculpted. And it's also not sculpted very well, which we'll talk about when we get to Sculpt. But I didn't want to pay $1,000 more for non-sculpted hair. And I think when I bought this, this was one of the only options out there at the time, but I'm not going to, you know, trade this in for I'm not going to spend $3,000 on Pennywise busts. So I think design-wise, it's fine, it's good, it's very nice. Now we're going to talk about the paint and sculpt on this piece, and I'm really mixed on this. It's not a huge professional studio that's doing it. It's one guy. I think he has a few people working for him and stuff. I'm actually in the middle of trying to get another piece from him that we're actually having some issues with, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, and hopefully that works out. Otherwise, I'm going to bash the shit out of his ass. I'm a little impatient. I've been waiting like a year on a custom piece he's been making, so with very little updates. But when I went through the transactions of this and the Carnage, it was flawless. It was perfect. So I have a little bit of hope. Had to get that in there, you know, that's what she said. So let's start at the base here. The base is very boring, plain. It's a black base. I think he could have done something with it, maybe done a circus tent or a sewer like a lot of the other ones are doing, especially since this came out before all the other ones seemed to. I think that was some missed opportunity. It's boring paint, nothing really going on. The It sign is bad paint on it. It's not done very well, especially the red on the inside. It looks layered and caked on. I feel like whoever painted the rest of the statue did not paint this. This was painted by someone else. Because then look at the painted outfit behind it. You can ignore the big red frilly ball, cat ball in front of it. But I like this. I like the different shading in it. I like the colors. The sculpt is okay. It's interesting. It's not the focal point of this, obviously, but it's really baggy. And it's kind of hard to sculpt a clown outfit, so I get that. I like how the color contrasts a little bit different. Let's look at the mixed media collar, I guess you would call this, frilly collar. I like how, I stated earlier, it's kind of faded on the edges and worn and dirty. You know, which it's interesting if you think about that and you're making mixed media for this, you buy it brand new. So whatever they did, whether they burned part of the edges or something, I think that was a smart move. It adds to the statue. Before we get to the portrait, I'm going to focus in on the hair here because this is the weakest part of the statue. So it is sculpted and you have to deal with that. I don't like the color choice they used on it. It's too orange. Almost reminds me of Bozo the Clown. And also with that, there's not a lot of detail in here. There's not a lot of strands. It's all clumped and bulky together. Granted, you're not looking at the back of the statue like I am here, but some of it's still evident on the front, we're going to see. Now, before we dive into the face paint and sculpt, there's a really interesting fact that I found when I was taking photos. And that is when you look at him eye level, like I am now, or from above, which is how I have him displayed, he looks like Pennywise. Like I said, not 100% movie accurate, but very close. However, when you take a picture from down here to go up into here, so here's the picture of him kind of straight up to show you what I'm saying. Looks like Pennywise, no mistake. And then here's the other one. Look at this. I don't even know who this looks like. It doesn't look like Pennywise to me. But I've never seen that aspect of it before until I got that camera underneath it. So that's just something to know as we go through these close-ups. You're not really seeing it as a whole. So let's look at this. First, I want to look at the face paint. On the top, it's all cracked up. And this is very intentional because in a few minutes or a few moments you're going to see that it's very smooth everywhere else on the statue. I like this. It adds to the character, it adds to the statue, makes it more scary. The paint lines where the hair meets up isn't very clean, but Pennywise might be dyeing his hair. The ears look okay, decent sculpt on them, nothing amazing. And here as you get down, you see what I'm talking about with the paint. It's much more smooth. It's clean. And I don't know if I like that or not. When I'm looking at just that part, I don't. But again, when I look at the statue as a whole, it's a little bit different story. You start to see some sculpt around his eyes, the eye lines. Let's take a look at this. So I think the sculpt looks great around his eyes. And I can't be sure, but it looks like these are glass eyes used in here, which is very smart. They look more realistic. They're scary, this kind of fiery. Almost looks like Sauron, the eye. But the eyes look great. I like the darker color paint they used on his nose and around the eyes. But where this statue I think it really wins is the mouth. Check out this mouth, guys. So much cool stuff going on. The perfect expression. The teeth look like real teeth, yellowed, stained, disgusting. And then that saliva effect on the lip is awesome. This clear resin type material. So, as with most statues, really great sculpt, shitty sculpt. Let's give it a very nice. So, score on the sculpt is a very nice. And then paint on this, I'm kind of torn. It's very, I think the paint, it's not a 4 out of 5. I'm going to say the paint on this guy is probably a 2 out of 5. It's kind of ugly. When you're looking at it up close in these close-up pictures like we are, there's definitely some room for opportunity. So overall, where does this guy rate? I think it's pretty obvious that I'm about to commit a crime. That's why I'm doing this. I think it's very obvious that he's a very nice statue. He is. I think it's a great alternative if you don't want to drop $2,000 to $3,000 on a Pennywise bust or a large Pennywise. He's scary. It's Pennywise. There's some really cool stuff with the uniform and right in his face, which is the most important part. It's a very nice statue. I'm glad I have it. I have no intention on trading it up. He's going to stay with my bust wall with horror pieces and villains because he's a quintessential villain and horror piece in today's cinema and cinema 40 years ago. I don't know when the original It came out, probably in the 80s, so almost 40 years ago. Let me know if you were going to get a Pennywise statue of all the ones I showed, which one would you get, including this one? And keep in mind price and affordability as the precursor. So, appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that thing right now, because there's tons of cool more stuff coming. Take care.